Welcome to Intersect, a podcast where we find connection in each other's story.
Nice.
Today, we are with Miss Bri Stock. It's not really a breezy day, but Bri is here. With Bri, we have her lovely husband, Caleb, our producer, and Mr. Senor Stock.
Marvelous.
Wayne. So, Bri, let's see. I think we met through Caleb, didn't we? No?
I think that's right.
Yes. And that's been 2, 3, 4 years ago.
It was right.
Probably 4 years ago.
It was Easter brunch.
4 years plus.
And we sat at this table.
Serious.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I was actually
circle.
sitting. I think we were on opposite sides
We
of the
were
table.
flipped. Yes. And so,
She would have the memory to tell you all those details.
so you guys don't even know what side of the table is what. But Wayne, let's see. Is that kind of west over there?
That's more south and that's west.
Oh, okay. So south is to my right.
Yep,
That would make north to my left.
you got it.
That would make Bri on the
Eastern side.
eastern side of the table, and I'm on the west. And when we met, I was on the east and she was on the west.
There you go.
Now you know where we were, approximately. And let me think. So, Bri, you and Caleb, you met, was it at Southern in college or?
That's a complicated question, I feel like.
Okay.
Because we actually don't really remember the first time we were officially introduced to each other.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
like romantic amnesia.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we were Facebook friends.
When I was in high school.
Yeah. But we'd never actually, I don't know that
We
we'd
never
met in
interacted.
person.
Okay.
You accepted an invite and you didn't even know her? Yeah. Wow. I think. Well, I knew who Justy and Roger were.
Okay.
Because Roger had a Mustang that was decked out like a Shelby Mustang.
Oh, okay.
And so everybody, all the car guys on campus knew who Roger was because of his car. It was a really slick car.
All right.
And so then I knew who Justy was, and then I knew that she was Justy's younger sister.
Got it. And Roger is Justy's
Husband now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you saw Bri on Facebook, but you knew of her through Roger and Justy.
I think so.
And I knew who you were because my friend really liked your music and brought me to one of your concerts.
Oh.
And I had one of your wristbands.
Oh, she had a wristband.
I had a wristband.
I think she still has it,
Was,
You somewhere.
Was that,
along with my CD.
was that like a
The CD's in my car.
was that like a crush band on the leader of the band, or was it just a wristband at that point?
At that point, it was just a wristband, but I did think he was cute.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a story of me liking one of her videos on Facebook.
Yes. And I completely spazzed out
Oh,
After this or before this
after
concert?
this concert.
Oh.
Yeah. This was after I was in college.
I think I was living in Nashville probably at the time. I don't really remember. I just remember like scrolling through and seeing them like doing some with their ukuleles, and like anytime I saw anybody being creative on social media, I was
would
like,
give
yeah,
them a
let's
like?
do it.
oh.
Yeah.
He gave you a like, and you experienced a spaz.
Accurate.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
Okay, so Bri, what are we talking about today? I mean, we've dug into a little bit about how you guys met, and we talked a little bit about how you and I met. I was on the east side of the table, you were on the west side of the table. But do we want to go down this trail of romance, or is there something
Sure.
else burning on your heart today?
I don't think I have anything burning on my heart today. So I'm open to wherever the conversation leads.
The Great Escape.
The Great Escape? Is that a story too? I don't know what.
Everybody's looking at you.
I'll need a little more context, I think.
Oh, isn't that when you were trying to set up getting a meter? Going to the Great Escape?
Oh, the escape room.
The escape room.
Oh, the escape room.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
That
That's
might
true.
be a good place to start.
Okay. So
Unlock the door.
we need a sound effect for
Oh,
that.
yeah. Okay.
So it was Christmas time.
2018.
2018. My brother Cameron was in town, and I was just trying to get a group of friends together to go and have an excuse to have Bri come along. And I also wanted like Cameron and Kyler to check her out and get an opinion about Bri. And
This is a mafia family.
Yeah, the stock.
Get into this family. It's not just about the man; it's about the brothers too.
yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted their opinion, and I was like, hey, this would be great. And so we got it set up, and it went really great.
You didn't talk to me
Whoa.
at all.
Oh, let's hear the truth now. Go ahead, Bri.
You were the one that planned this whole thing, and then you didn't even talk to me. I'm pretty sure Moses talked to me the most.
Oh, and
possible.
Moses is in this.
He's a good friend of Cameron's.
Okay.
They were roommates together in college,
And Ryan. I think Ryan talked to me too.
yeah,
But I don't think you really didn't say anything to me.
I think I said hi.
Yeah. And bye.
I kept a safe distance.
I gave you a hug.
It's true.
Oh.
It's true.
I gave you a hug and
Whoa.
bye.
You got a hug for saying hi?
Yeah,
And bye.
just a little side hug.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know if I want to see him again. What was that hug like? I mean, or what was.
I didn't even think about it, honestly. I think I'm just a very, I guess,
Huggy
touchy.
person.
Yeah. Like I like giving people hugs. And so I was saying goodbye to everybody in the group. I think I gave everybody hugs. And so I just gave him one too. I
Did
didn't
you
really
know
think about it.
that at that point in the Great Escape, that this was like a great scope?
Not at all.
Okay.
I had no clue. I had no idea he liked me. I knew absolutely nothing other than it was a group of friends getting together. And all of my close friends at that time were out of town.
Okay.
So it was just something fun to do over Christmas break.
All right.
Yeah. So I had no idea.
I did text you after that and didn't hear anything from you.
So no words and no text back.
No, it was funny because probably like a month later, I showed up at a Bible study and she's like, "Oh, I haven't heard from you." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, all right."
Do you have the text to prove this?
If we scroll back far enough,
That would be
probably
a lot of scrolling.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of texting since then.
4+ years ago.
It's all, what do you want to say? Letters under the bridge.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Because you have to scroll back.
I mean,
it's
I
like
get-
scrolling upstream.
I guess it's only fair if you didn't talk to me then and then you
Ooh.
expect me to text you back.
Even in the score.
Touche.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You just had to give it a couple months and then we actually started talking.
That's true. Yeah. So then I was leading worship at the church in March. Mm-hmm. And so I invited her to come sing with me.
Oh,
And she said yes.
that's cool.
But we technically started talking a little bit before then because you came to the Super Bowl party and I was writing a paper for grad school.
True.
And you were like, hey, have you heard of this?
Grammarly.
Yeah. This app you can download and it'll help correct your papers. And so we started chatting a little bit about that. And then in March, you asked me to sing with you.
Yep.
Okay. You know, that's so interesting, like how people connect, because these are not particularly like, it's not the movies really.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Okay. So Grammarly, you guys sing together, and then what rises to the surface at that point?
He just kept texting me. I think that was the biggest thing. Like I had no idea he was interested in me until he kept texting me, and it was like consistent. And then I was like, I don't think he's texting any other girl like he's texting me, to my knowledge.
Oh,
Well, then you invited her to come eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
I think
that too.
was that same
That was
weekend
that
we
same
sang.
weekend.
That was the same weekend?
And my dad's parents were in town.
oh yeah, it's always a big win when you have them over with the grandparents.
Yeah. Yeah.
I stayed till 10:30 that night.
Yeah. She came over like at 1 or 2 in the afternoon, was
For
here
lunch.
all afternoon, all evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How'd you get away?
I think it was late and
She never did.
Hey,
Oh,
She's still here.
wait a second. Oh, well, that's true. Okay.
Very
I was
true.
thinking about that night. I was hoping she got away
No.
that night. But okay.
our other friend that was here at the same time as me. He was leaving. And so I was like, all right, that's my ex and I'm going to go too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay if he's not here.
Now, that particular day with the grandparents, did he talk?
He did.
Oh,
He did talk to me. I don't.
We sat in there on that table for hours.
We
Okay.
did.
wow.
But I don't know
Talked
what.
about Tupelo honey and
But what else did I really don't even remember what else we talked about, honestly.
a lot of random stuff. I don't really remember either at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So at that point, you're not dating yet? Mm-mm. Okay. How long did that take?
It was just a couple weeks later.
Really?
It was about a month, wasn't it?
When was it the beginning of March you asked me to sing with you?
Yeah, I think it was like early March, like March 9 or 7 or something.
Okay, so then it was exactly a
It
month.
was almost a month later.
That was
In April.
Yeah.
April.
Spring
Started.
fever.
Yeah. April 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that Elvis song about fever? How's that go?
I don't know.
I got a fever. Something like that. So you had the spring fever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And what was the official date that was before the first date that you didn't know was a date that was really a scope in the, whatever that, Escape, The Great Escape?
Oh, that was like December
Okay.
18 or
So we're talking
something.
4 months later.
You're talking about the
The escape room.
was in December.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
the-
mid-December, late December.
And then March, and then April, you were starting to date. And one was the big kahune.
Like our first official date.
Yeah, like the big thing. Like it's like
It's happening.
This is it.
Like our first official date or like
Yeah, like
When he asked me to be his girlfriend.
well, whatever was most notable.
Oh, there's two.
There's-
like
yeah, there's
when
two.
we started dating, I took her to breakfast. And
But
then
before that, when I really realized what was going, like when we both were kind of like, this is
I do have a famous line.
going somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was the full moon, so I don't know. It was like end of March,
Ooh.
and he asked
Sound effects.
he asked me to go for a moonlit walk.
Oh,
Yeah, that's romantic, right?
Jim, you must
But
have
he-
been there.
I know.
It was destined,
Welcome to Intersect with Jim a Moon.
but he didn't call it a date. He just asked me to go for a moonlit walk. But I was like, so is it a date? Because like you don't just go walk at night in the dark
In the moonlight.
with just anybody.
Yeah.
And we ended up walking and talking until
Like
1 in the
a.m. or
morning.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in the midst,
Getting later every time you guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in the midst of that, we were sitting on a little swing.
A bench.
Yeah, like a
It's like
bench.
a swinging chain link swing. A wooden swing that hung up by chains.
Yes.
A swing, a wooden swing.
Yeah.
And at one point, he turns to me and he goes, I think you're pretty cool.
Oh, was that the line?
That was the line.
That was my
Yeah,
famous
pretty
line.
That was his
Cool.
famous line. And so at that point, I was like, okay, so I think this was a date.
I'm starting to catch on. Okay, but you said there was two. So there was the moonlit date on the chain link swing, which says, I think you're pretty cool. And what else?
Well, then when I asked her to be my girlfriend, we took her to breakfast.
Okay.
And then Bri loves baseball. So there was a game,
A lookout.
a Lookouts game that night.
Look
And
out.
I've gotten her tickets for that.
Okay.
I think I had something else. I thought like
You
like
had-
a note or something that went
No,
with
you
it.
handed me the tickets.
Okay.
And you had some line about, I don't even remember how it went, but something about, it was a baseball something. And that was how you asked me to be.
Oh,
your
it's something about
girlfriend.
like a home run or something. I think.
Yeah.
Like it was like looking back now, I was like, that might not have been the best word for that, but
yeah.
So you're saying you're not as naive now?
maybe I guess.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that, and then before we'd actually started dating, I think this was like in November or December. I'd seen that Need to Breathe was coming to town, and I wanted to take her, but I didn't like things weren't like really going. It wasn't going anywhere yet, and so I was like, whatever. I was like, I'm going to buy them in hopes that something is happening because they were coming in May.
There's a tip for y'all gentlemen out there. Buy them by faith. Buy them by faith.
That's right.
You did.
If you got somebody you're interested in, buy them by faith.
Yeah. And I was like, whether it works out with Bri and I was like, I'm gonna just go have fun. I'll take somebody. We'll have fun, but I'm buying them for Bri and I. So I did, and it worked out. And she was shocked after we started dating. I was like, oh, by the way, next month we're going to need to breathe.
No, you didn't tell me.
Oh, I didn't tell you?
You just told me you had bought tickets for in May, and you didn't tell me what it was or who was going to be there.
Pardon me 1 second. You guys keep talking. Yeah, we're back. Had a little bit of a kitchen faucet there. That's what happens when you kind of just record wherever. So let's see. We were, where were we?
Got tickets for Bri to Need to Breathe.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of our second noticeable date.
Yeah.
Or memorable date. For me, anyway.
Need to Breathe with Bri.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That kind of goes
Right.
with
Yeah. You know, the first time I heard that band announced, well, I thought it said something else. Need to breed, but I was like, that's a strange name for a Christian band.
Oh, no.
Anyways, pardon.
Well, I mean,
From
God told him in Genesis
from
to go be
Genesis.
fruitful and multiply.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Little did you know.
That's right.
Yeah. So, okay. So the relationship is starting to blossom. Now that you bought those tickets when again? What
I
month?
think it was like January. It was
Okay.
before we were
Way
like
before
actually
official.
talking or anything.
And then you went to the concert when?
In May.
May 1,
Okay. All
May
right.
1st.
So
May 1st.
we're about 6 weeks in then. Maybe. Not even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably since we actually started talking.
Or since the moonlit swing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So, give me, Bri, that part of your relationship. When you look back, you're like, "Wow, I'm really glad we experienced this, and I think it would be a blessing to somebody else."
That's a good question. Honestly, I think at the beginning, the very, very beginning, I'm really glad we experienced a lot of conversation. Like, I think that's the thing that stands out the most to me is that, like, the few times we hung out leading up to him actually asking me to be his girlfriend, those times were literally just like hours upon hours upon hours of just talking and like really good open communication with each other. Which is interesting because I do think that once we started dating, we lost some of that communication.
Okay.
That's when I stopped coaching him.
Or was
That's
that
what it was.
Well, Dad, what's your problem? You should have stuck in the game.
I thought I had it all wrapped up.
We got you going now. You're on your own, kid. Okay, that's really interesting. So it's almost like when there wasn't the pressure of expectation, then conversation just was organic, was...
Yeah, I don't know if it was just because like we were both like really trying to see if this was the right fit for each other, and then once we started dating, it was like, all right, yeah, we're a good fit, and then we just kind of backed off a little bit. But that was a huge blessing, was like just the openness of our communication with each other there at the beginning and how we were able to talk for so long. Like just thinking about that first night that the moonlit walk, like having not really spent much time together and to be able to talk until like 1 a.m. with somebody you barely know was a huge blessing. To just really get to see his character in that time frame. Was really awesome. And I do think also at the very beginning of our relationship was very prayerful because we were navigating kind of a tricky situation with the beginning of our relationship. And
'Cause you both come with a little bit of history or whatever, as we all do to whatever relationship.
yeah, and there were some other people involved. And so we just wanted to be really, really respectful and wanted to make sure that we were doing what was best. And so we were also very, very prayerful at the very beginning of our relationship, I feel like.
Okay. So talk with each other, talk with God without a lot of pressure is a really good thing.
Yeah, because there wasn't a lot of extra. I think that's kind of why that stands out is like we, like the dates that we went on weren't like, oh, we're going to go do this really crazy activity, or we're going to go to this fancy restaurant, or we're going to go watch a movie, or we're going to go do this. Like, really, our first several dates were just walks and talks, which I think is pretty abnormal for most people. I think most people go and like do some kind of activity, like go play mini golf, or go to the movies, or go do this, go do that. And we really just spent a lot of intentional time talking, which I guess also maybe for me, I'm saying it was really beneficial and a huge blessing because that is my love language is quality conversations. So for me, the start of our relationship, he just like filled my love cup like constantly, which was really special.
So you're a person that doesn't always need elaborate,
Yeah.
just connecting
Yes.
conversationally.
Yeah. Intimate conversations make me feel extremely loved.
That's cool. And Caleb, what would you say stands out for you as something like out of those dating months, year, whatever, that felt really meaningful that you would hope for others to experience?
When we, even before we started dating, Bri gave me a book to read. What's the name of that?
Hind's Feet for High Places.
Hind's Feet for High Places. And I'd just gone through some stuff in my previous relationship, that, you know, that had been challenging for me. And she was really thoughtful or kind about that, and was not only willing to listen, but like share things that had been helpful for her in areas that she'd been hurt. And so like that book was a resource for her in the past. And she's like, hey, I think this would help you and your walk with God and everything you've experienced. And it was really impactful. And I still think about that book and reading through that. So I think just having somebody who's willing to come alongside you and try to work with you through some of that stuff that you've experienced in the past.
So maybe not feeling threatened by your partner's past, but drawing from what's given you strength that you feel like might be helpful to them. So Bri was able to somehow make space for you to work through some of the stuff that you brought into your friendship or relationship.
Yeah.
That's a gift.
Can't say I've remained doing well at that the longer we've been together. And in the full sake of being honest.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean,
That's the benefit of reflection, though. Reflect and go, hey.
That's true. Yeah, because as you were bringing that up, I was just thinking about like some of the more difficult conversations we've had recently, and I don't know if I've been that helpful or supportive in some of those areas that I used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're like, after you've been with somebody for 4 years and dealing with some of the same stuff over and over again, though, it could get tiresome, I imagine.
Like they should be over this now.
Yeah. We should move past that a little bit.
We already recorded that episode.
I conquered that mountain.
I think that's always an interesting thing. Like, the great thing about, say, being married to Ingrid for 26 years, and she's in the room listening as she cleans up the kitchen, so I got to be careful about. You know, the great thing is you know each other really well. The challenging thing is that as you journey together, I think, you know, Brene Brown uses this story. She uses this phrase. She says, use this when you're in conflict and you're trying to sort through something, she'll say, rather than just spewing your perception on the other person, like, you always blah, 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 or rah, rah, rah. She says, use this phrase, the story I'm telling myself is. And then share whatever your perception is. So it kind of is like calibrating to say, this is how I'm interpreting this dynamic between us.
Yeah.
Now, I think what's interesting is like, that's what we're always competing against, is our inner narrative about our kids or our spouse or our coworker. We're always competing, and the longer we go on, the more that narrative has time to form, whether it's true or not. The way the human mind works is we make meaning out of experiences. We form stories around what we're seeing and experiencing. And so when it's early on in the narrative, there's not a lot of, say, chapters in the book or words on the page, then it's a blank slate. And you can kind of, it's probably in some ways it's easier to give the other person the benefit of the doubt. But then you have experiences together, you have moments of vulnerability, you have moments of conflict, you have moments of, just life. And now you have this narrative that may or may not be true, that you're like trying to sort through as you're trying to figure out how to continue to have your best life.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I agree.
Yeah, no, I think that's a helpful way to think about it and to try to apply in future, areas of strife or conflict, is to try to look at it from that perspective. I think that's a conversation we have a lot is, I'm not your enemy. Like I am your best friend. I am your wife. I'm your husband. I'm not your enemy. Just because this is a difficult conversation or a point of contention, that doesn't mean I'm your enemy. But I think...
Well, and I think adding like you were saying, like she was, like Brene Brown was saying, to add that before this is the story I'm telling myself.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful.
Oh, tremendously.
Because we try to use the words I think, I feel, but even still, it's easy to bump over that. I don't know. It would probably be just as easy to bump over this is the story I'm telling myself. But
I think it's helpful because I think we often come from a place of like, well, this is my perspective, and like almost forcing that onto the other person as like, this is my perspective. Like, can't you see it? Like my perspective, without thinking about like, well, this is the narrative. And I think we often also bring up our past hurts, our past wounds, and like, well, I'm wounded here, so that's why this, that, and the other. And it almost feels like it's an excuse or something that's just kind of thrown in there. But I don't know, something about that verbiage of like, this is the story that I'm telling myself, or, like, I don't know, it seems to soften that just a little bit.
Sure. And I think to be able to, it is a two-way street. So if I'm saying the story I'm telling myself is, if it's going to work, the other person has to go, okay, it's story time, I'm going to listen. And not, and kind of make this mental shift of, I'm taking a step back. I'm going to just say, this is their story. I'm not going to try and decipher whether it's true or not true. It's just, this is how they've interpreted the experiences that we've shared together.
It almost, I feel like, spurs curiosity as well. Like that statement invites the other person into being curious, into learning what it is that the other person actually has to say.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's usually what a story does. Like it brings you in, it draws you in. At least for me, when I read a book, I usually like start to have questions about things, and like it opens me up more than closes me down.
And it makes me think that this is where small talk and how was your day, and if we can give each other a space to kind of tell our story of our experiences, the storytelling that you do about just the ordinary stuff whether Caleb, you're in the studio or you're in the clinic, or Wayne, you're, telling Bobby about remodeling some house. Those little moments of storytelling set the stage for the intense moment of storytelling that maybe has a texture of conflict. And so it's not just the communication that we do in conflict that's important. It's the communication that we just do.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a rhythm and a cadence of communication that we just want to know each other's story.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's
good food for thought.
well, maybe that's all we have to say about that. Does anybody have anything they want to say in closing today?
The only thing I was thinking about, which is kind of a side note here, is just the times when we're involved in a conversation and we're distracted by some of our self-fulfilling prophecies. Whereas if we were willing to be open and honest and possibly not, I guess, expecting it to go a certain way, would it still continue to go the same direction if we weren't expecting it to go a specific way, but allowing it to go the way that it really could go?
So we almost have to pause our story if we're going to listen to the story of the one saying the story I'm telling myself.
Yeah. Do I want to be heard, or do I want to hear?
Seek first to understand, then to be understood is what is one of the 7 highly effective habits from Stephen Covey. Yeah.
That's hard to do. Hard to unplug and say, I'll listen to you, even though I don't have a guarantee that you'll listen to me later.
Yeah.
It's part of our selfish nature.
Yep.
And so as we wrap today, I'm reminded of James, who says, and I'm paraphrasing, but I think it's like James 1:19. He says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And with that, we can hit the outro music. Da-dum, dum, dum, dum. Yeah, there it is. Thank you for joining us at Intersect, where we find connection in each other's story. In fact, we find connection when we say, the story I'm telling myself is...